I've stared down orbital bombardments. I've held the line against synthetic swarm armies. But nothing, compared to the moment Queen Valith placed her war-scarred hand in mine. I wasn't supposed to be here. I was supposed to be a prisoner of war. Yet here I stood, eye to eye with the most feared and revered being in the known galaxies, the Dracana Sovereign, a blue-skinned monarch of blood and fire, and the last being I expected to trust me. But she did, 14 days earlier. They captured me on Arkan's Drift. My strike team had breached what we thought was an abandoned Dracana mining station. Instead, we walked straight into a trap. My squad was killed in minutes, our armor stripped, our comms jammed, and our bodies broken. But for some reason, they didn't kill me. They studied me, scanned my thoughts, brought me before their queen. I expected cold judgment or brutal execution. Instead, I saw her, Queen Valith. Her skin shimmered like polished cobalt under the golden spires of her throne chamber. Horns curved like ivory blades from her temples. Her eyes, like liquid mercury, locked onto mine, and I felt something I hadn't felt since the war began. Not fear, recognition. "I know this one," she whispered in her language, a cascading hum of syllables I could barely translate. Her advisors protested. A human soldier? One of the Coalition's deadliest units? He should be dissected or turned into a puppet like the others. But she silenced them with a single word, Zaraek, a sacred name. When I didn't understand at first, they assigned me a cell near the royal wing, too lavish for a prisoner. Food was brought daily. My wounds were treated by medics who never spoke. And at night, she would come, not as a ruler, but as someone curious, haunted, and strangely alone. "I saw you once," she said during our third conversation, sitting across from me in the chamber of golden fireflies. "Before the war, on Karen 4, you saved a child during the evacuation. She had silver eyes." I froze. I remember that girl. She'd been trapped beneath debris as the orbital stations above shattered. I'd pulled her out, handed her to a civilian evac crew, and moved on. Never saw her again. Vela smiled. She was my niece. The silence between us deepened, no longer awkward, but heavy with truth. "You could have let her die," she said, "but you didn't." Days passed. I learned more. The Dracana Empire was splintering. Their ruling houses were pushing for a total extermination of humanity. Vela stood alone in her resistance. A queen trying to end a war her generals wanted to win through genocide. She couldn't trust them. Her chambers were watched. Her guards whispered treason. She needed someone outside the system. Someone expendable. That's when she let me see it. The Shard Heart. A living crystal buried in her chest, cracked and pulsing with unstable light. It was her source of power, her connection to the Dracana hive mind, and the very reason she couldn't leave the throne. "The others, they don't bleed like I do," she told me. "They've sacrificed everything for control. I still feel." That's when I saw the scars. Glowing fissures along her ribs and neck. Wounds that wept light instead of blood. And somehow I knew she wasn't just trying to survive. She was planning to escape. "I need you," she said. "Not as a soldier, not even as an ally, but as the one being I know who won't betray me when I fall." I should have refused. Should have reported everything to the neural relay I'd hidden in my tooth. But I didn't, because when she looked at me like that, like I was the only light left in her decaying world, I saw her not as a queen, but as someone desperately human. The Night of Fire. It happened during the Red Eclipse, a holy day among the Dracana. While the palace was distracted with rituals and blood odes, she made her move. We fled through the sunken corridors beneath the throne. The air shimmered with molten energy as the Shard Heart cracked further with each step she took. Her wings, once majestic, now drooped with pain. I carried her for part of the descent, her blood glowing faintly against my armor. She looked at me then, her face streaked with tears and firelight. "If I die, they will unleash the last protocol. My death is a trigger. But if I live, there is still a chance." I nodded and kissed her, but someone had followed us. Her own general, Zerkal, draped in obsidian exo-armor. stepped into the passage and aimed his blade spear at her heart. "You were always weak," he hissed. "Let me finish what your bloodline could not." I stood between them. He laughed. "You? A human mongrel?" I didn't reply. I just triggered the pulse grenade in my palm, not to kill, but to blind. In the chaos, Valeth surged forward, wings flaring, and buried her talons into his chest. He fell, but so did she. The choice. Her shard heart was failing. I lifted her into the emergency craft we'd hidden beneath the cliffs. Every warning light blared red. She coughed light and whispered, "If I sleep, they won't find me. I need centuries to heal." She reached for my face, her fingers trembling. "Will you stay? Guard me while the stars move on." I should have said no. I had no immortality, no throne, no reason. But I nodded and sealed the pod. Present day. It's been 9 years. I live alone on this jungle moon, her stasis chamber beneath the roots of a crystalline tree. Every day I patrol, watch the skies, kill anything that gets too close. They still search for her, but they'll never find her because she trusted me. And when she wakes, she won't be alone. She bled light, but she gave me her darkness. And I swore I'd never let it fall into anyone else's hands. Let me know if you want a voice-over script version of this, or a series continuation. I can also add a soundtrack suggestion, YouTube description, or even a title screen concept.